Welcome back to the deep dive. So if you're a musician, you know the feeling. Chasing tone is it's a lifelong thing, right?
Never ends.
Never. And you're always tweaking knobs. But the standard EQ on an amp, your bass, mid, treble, it only gets you so far.
It's a very broad brush.
Exactly. For real precision, you need something more surgical. And today, we're looking at a piece of gear that did exactly that. It took surgical control, added a digital brain, and put it all in a stomp box.
A very big stomp box.
A very big stomp box, yes. We are doing a deep dive into the Bot SS EQ20 Advanced EQ.
A legendary one.
It really is. Our mission today is to figure out why this pedal, from way back in 2001, is still seen as like the gold standard. People say it's maybe the most powerful graphic EQ Bot SS ever made. We want to know what makes this specific analog and digital hybrid so special, 2 decades on.
Well, the key thing to get right away is its professional focus. It's not just another G7, which is a great little pedal.
Classic utility tool.
Exactly. The EQ20 was built to solve serious professional level problems. It's a dual engine, programmable EQ designed for complex rigs. Not just guitar, but bass, stereo synths, you name it.
So the core idea is precise, recallable tone shaping.
That's it. That recall function is what changes everything.
Okay, let's jump right into the architecture then, because that feels like where the magic is. The sources all point to this incredible flexibility, but without the noise or the digital weirdness you'd expect from the early 2000s.
Right.
So how did BiSS pull that off? That perfect marriage of digital control and truly pro-level sound.
That is the technical triumph of this thing. It's that hybrid architecture. See, back then, good digital signal processing was still pretty expensive and, frankly, often noisy in a pedal format.
Sure.
So BSS did this really smart workaround. The actual audio path, the circuit your guitar signal travels through, is 100% analog.
The entire thing.
The entire signal path, this keeps it transparent, gives it tons of headroom, and keeps the noise floor super low.
So where does the digital part come in?
The digital stuff is completely separate. It's just there to watch the sliders and store their positions in memory. That's its only job.
I see.
So when you call up a preset, the digital brain just tells the analog circuit where to set its filters. It's the best of both worlds.
The warmth and fidelity of analog.
With the lightning fast, perfect recall of digital. Your tone stays completely pure, even if you're flipping between 4 totally different EQ curves mid-song.
So the sound itself is never digitized, only the instructions are. That is a crucial distinction.
It's everything.
And the physical design, the big twin tettle box, that supports this pro-level approach too, right? Especially with the routing.
Oh, absolutely. That chassis isn't just for looks or durability. It's because it houses 2 complete 10-band EQ engines inside.
2 of them.
2. And that gives you 2 main ways to run it. First is stereo mode.
Okay, for keyboard players or guys with stereo rigs.
Exactly. Perfect for synths or modern amp modelers. The left and right EQs are linked, so they act as a perfect stereo pair.
And the second mode.
That's dual mono. And for a lot of players, this is where the real power is. It gives you 2 completely independent equalizers.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you could...
Think about it. You could run your bass into EQ-A to shape your tone before the amp, and then stick EQ-B in the amp's effects loop to shape the final sound after the preamp.
Or, what if you have a guitar with 2 different pickup types?
Perfect example. A guitar with magnetic and piezo pickups. You could dedicate 1 EQ to each pickup. The flexibility for complex rigs is just immense.
That's incredible. It immediately solves problems for session players who are always dealing with complicated signal chains. All right, let's talk about the actual control, the frequency bands. When you say studio quality, what does that mean in terms of coverage?
It means you're covering the entire audible spectrum, really. It goes from that deep subsonic stuff all the way up to the air frequencies. We're talking 31.25 hertz.
Wow, that low.
That low, all the way up to 16 kilohertz. And for each of those 10 bands, you get a massive plus or minus 15 dBass of boost or cut.
15. That is enough to do some serious damage or some serious enhancement.
It's a huge amount of power. I mean, it's worth just listing a few of the bands to see how well they chose them.
Go for it.
You've got 31.25 hertz, 62.5, 125, 250.
Okay, so that 250 hertz is the classic mud frequency, right?
That's the one. That's where all the muddiness lives. Then it goes up through 500, 1K, 2K, 4K.
And 4K is your presence, your attack.
Exactly. They hit all the critical spots for defining an instrument's character and for solving common problems.
I can see that. That full spectrum coverage makes it so much more than just a guitar pedal. Now, what about using it, the interface? If the settings are stored digitally, how do you see what's going on, especially on a dark stage?
The visual feedback is, I would argue, almost as important as the sound. You have the physical sliders, which feel great, but right above them you have these bright red LED ladders.
Okay.
So if you're in manual mode, that's the what you see is what you get mode, the LEDs just follow the physical sliders. Simple enough.
Right.
But the brilliant part is when you recall a preset. Let's say you stomp on the switch for memory 1. The LEDs instantly jump to show you the saved EQ curve for that preset.
Regardless of where the physical knobs are.
Exactly. So there's no guesswork. You know precisely what EQ curve you just engage just by looking at the lights.
That's a huge usability feature. For a touring musician, you need to be able to trust your gear at a glance.
Totally.
And that's all managed through the 4 user presets.
You got it. Memory 1, 2, 3, and 4. You just tap the right foot switch to cycle through them, and then it goes back to manual mode. So you can instantly jump between 4 completely different sounds.
So your verse, your chorus, your solo, a special effect.
All there. A clean flat sound, a big mid-boost for a solo, a scooped rhythm tone. You can switch between them instantly. It's a massive advantage.
But we have to talk about the limitations. It's a product of 2001.
For sure. And there's a big one. For all this digital memory power, it has no MIDI control.
Ooh, okay. That's a big deal now.
It's a very big deal now. It means you can't integrate it with a modern switching system or automate it from a DAW. You're limited to those 4 onboard presets and manual mode. That's it.
And it is strictly a graphic EQ, as you said.
Correct. No parametric control. You can't change the Q or the width of the frequency band you're boosting or cutting.
So you can't do that super narrow surgical notch to kill a feedback frequency.
You can get close because you have 10 bands to work with, but it's not as precise as a dedicated parametric EQ for that one specific task. But for a floor pedal, the power you get is usually more than enough.
That gives us a really solid picture, incredibly powerful, but, a product of its time. So let's get into the practical side. This is where it built its reputation. It's known for being quiet, transparent, precise. What are the real-world uses that made this thing so essential?
The beauty of it is that it's both a creative tool and a problem solver. Let's start with bass players.
Okay.
Bassists are always fighting the room, right? Or a bad cabinet. The number one complaint is mud, that boomy sound that just washes everything out.
Always around that 250 hertz mark.
Almost always. So a bass player could have preset 1 be their standard awesome tone, then have preset 2 be their mud killer, a deep cut at 250 hertz that cleans everything up without losing the low-end punch.
A quick fix for a bad venue.
Instantly.
Yeah.
And then maybe preset 3 is for clarity, a boost at 1K and 2K to make their fingerstyle playing really pop through a dense mix. They can have 4 solutions to 4 different problems ready to go.
That's a perfect example. What about for guitar players, especially with high-gain sounds?
Oh, high-gain players love this thing. It's amazing for tightening up the low end. A lot of high-gain amps can get kind of flubby or loose in the bass.
Yeah, that sort of subwoofer rumble that just eats up headroom.
Exactly. You can use the 62.5 and 125 hertz bands to just gently roll that off. You keep the feeling of weight, but the sound becomes so much sharper and more articulate.
And for solos, I assume.
Of course. That's the classic use. Have your rhythm tone, which might be a bit scooped in the mids, as your bass sound. Then you stomp on a preset and bam, you get an 8 dB boost at 1 and 2 kilohertz.
Instantly cuts through the band.
Puts you right out front, and that jump between the 2 sounds is completely seamless.
This must have been a lifesaver for acoustic guitar players, too. Fighting feedback and that awful pickup sound.
It was absolutely essential, especially for anyone using a piezo pickup straight into a PA system.
Yeah.
Those things have 2 big problems. There's the piezo quack.
That horrible plasticky sound.
That harsh, brittle spike, yeah. And then there's the low-mid thump, which is what causes all the feedback and boominess.
Right.
A standard preamp on an acoustic guitar just doesn't have the bands to fix that. But the EQ20 with its 250 and 500 hertz sliders lets you just surgically carve those problem frequencies right out. You kill the feedback before it even starts.
While leaving the good parts of the tone intact.
Exactly. It was a level of control for acoustic players that was just unheard of in a pedal back then.
That really speaks to its utility.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it works for non-guitar stuff, too. Keys, line level sources.
Yeah, because the circuit has such low noise and high headroom, it can handle hot signals from synths or keyboards without clipping. A keyboardist could have 4 patches that all need different live EQ fixes. One's too brassy, one's too muddy.
And you can have a preset save for each one.
Yep. And in the studio, engineers would use it as a hardware insert for mixing. It was a clean, reliable, and recallable EQ. You could save your settings for a reamping session and know you could get back to them perfectly. Very few pedals could do that.
The fact that it really bridges that gap between a stage pedal and a studio tool just says everything about the quality of that design. So let's bring it all together. Let's talk about its legacy. This was BOS's first programmable EQ. What was its lasting impact? Why do people still hunt these things down?
It fundamentally changed what people expected from an EQ pedal. I mean, before the EQ20, if you needed 4 different EQ sounds for a show, you either had to buy 4 separate pedals
Or get down on your hands and knees between songs.
and try to move 10 tiny sliders in the dark. It was chaos. The EQ20 got rid of all that. It became the pros' secret weapon because it gave them speed and reliability. It wasn't just a convenience, it was a tool that let them sound consistently great, night after night.
It reduced the stress of the live show.
100%. And, our final assessment has to be that it's still, arguably, the most sophisticated EQ pedal ISS has ever made. It combined the dual channels, the memory, the visual feedback, and that studio-grade frequency range all in one box.
It proved that musicians wanted more control.
It proved they valued recall and precision and were willing to handle a bit of complexity to get it. And that demand has driven professional pedal design ever since.
An incredible deep dive. It's just a testament to really smart engineering, using digital to serve the analog, not replace it. A powerful, flexible, and just a really musical tool that still holds up.
And that leads to one final thought for you to chew on. The success of the EQ20 proved to the entire industry that a big chunk of the market was hungry for this kind of depth. They wanted complexity, and most importantly, they wanted reliable recall.
Right.
If the EQ20 had been a flop, we might not have seen the explosion in sophisticated, digitally controlled analog effects that we see today, the kinds of pedals that are all over modern pro pedal boards. It was, in a way, the proof of concept for the future of the professional stomp box.
A fascinating turning point in the history of gear. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the BISS EQ20 Advanced EQ.